Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another session with Fredus on using the Paintology drawing app that's available for Android users, and you can get it from Google Play Store. So there's some of you who are probably quite interested in these daily sessions that I do every morning, and that's good to see because naturally you want to learn and you're seeing something of value here. And I would really appreciate any comments you have. For the time being, I've noticed that Livestream has a chat function, but the problem is when I'm drawing on this phone right now, I'm not able to chat simultaneously, and I would probably do that at some stage, but I would need to have probably be on another platform as well because this phone is just sufficient for me to show drawings. So if you're new to this live stream session, I'll go over a couple of things, and these are the let's have a look. So this is the first of all the link to get the reference image that I typically use to make a drawing, and it's a very powerful technique techniques, I should say, which based on block coloring, shading, blending, which I've been doing the last few days. And if you look here, if we go to, let's go to paintology.com first, and then from there, go down to a link just below the video here. It's called Live Streams Google Classroom Udemy. And then there you will see a link, the date 23rd September, and then GMT 8:15, which is about now. And the reference image is this one of the famous actor. I forgot his name, but anyway, you're most likely to know him. And we're gonna do something different, so you can download that image. And the other thing I want to show you is this Google Classroom. I would encourage you to join this classroom because it's really is structured, and it's got many days of structured classrooms with tutorials and to show you how to draw rapidly with the Paintology, not using tools, necessarily using the tools, but more developing art techniques and art fundamentals. And these are key to making good drawings, like, for example, tones, tone values, shading, and perspective, volume, texture, you name it, shape. These are all the fundamental skills that are required for drawing, and Paintology focuses on that. Unlike the other drawing apps, which try and just put one tool after another to overcome some of the limitations of what we do in manual drawing in traditional. But then I still think that traditional method of drawing still rules. And I'm also going to tell you that traditional method of drawing is not inherent to using physical materials. It can be applied to digital as well, which what Paintology is all about. So the traditional method is basically doing everything by hand, blending, blurring, you name it, blending, shading, and that's the beauty of it. That's why we enjoyed it so much, and that's why my drawings typically done using the traditional method. This is the home screen of the Paintology once you have it installed, and I will go through it quickly. Tutorials for you to do, many of them. Paint by numbers I would recommend, so you get comfortable with drawing. Pencil drawing is is something that we're going to try and attempt today. And these are for all broken down to various categories. You just pick a subject, and remember, some of them are associated with videos, right? For example, I'll click on Paint by Numbers and show you. Look, this one has got video associated with it, which means that you can draw while you watch the video. It's very simple. Yeah, so that you follow along to the video and click on the toggle button again and you'll resume. So you can follow along to that. It's quite powerful. So I would recommend you use some of these tutorials, over 600 of them. And so some of the paintings I've been doing are stored, obviously, when you save it, it's in my paintings. And you'll be able to store, look, 700. I need to clean this out, offload some of that. So this yesterday was, I usually use the theme, and I have two channels, obviously, Paintology and Produce. So I usually do the same drawing. In case you missed the first one, you can go hop on to the second one, which will be the Produce channel. This is the Paintology, and you'll have an opportunity to do the similar drawing. So this one yesterday I picked water droplets on a leaf, and I particularly like this one. I was quite surprised within an hour how I was able to create this, and then I used the technique of blending and shading using the line brush here. So only keeping to one brush, nothing more, and then just doing. So digital drawing lends itself to traditional, and the point is many traditional artists think it's a departure from traditional, and that's because all the apps push digital tools over techniques and art development. And Paintology has always, since its inception 5 years ago, when I revamped the app, its always focus has always been on to create the skill sets necessary for good art, which you can apply to any other art mediums. Okay, that's the key. So you can see here how versatile the digital medium is to create a photorealistic drawing here of the leaf. Yeah, you can see there, if you ever look close up, you see the big brush strokes, but when you zoom out, it's a lot different, isn't it? All right, so what we're going to do, let's head to our drawing that we're going to do. And I'm going to go back to the home screen, click on draw, trace image, and then download the character here that we're going to draw. Famous Bollywood actor, has appeared in many movies. He's well known for his, very his dance style actually. So let's see what we're going to do here and how we're going to tackle this. This is the image, and so the first thing is you when you learn art techniques, that's how majority of artists learn. They assemble a wide range of art techniques, not necessarily the tools. And I'll give you a quick analogy of why tools is unimportant to drawing. Is you don't judge, let's say, a carpenter based around his on the tools he possessed, do you? It's the same thing with digital drawing. You don't, if you base it on the particular app or the tools it has, you are going in the completely wrong direction. So these techniques can be learned, and they're not mysterious. These are the same techniques an artist will take a zero canvas, a blank canvas, all the way to a magical piece of art, and you sit back and think, how did they do that? And it's all about building up the picture or drawing in a method that I call the drawing process, which not many artists, teachers talk about. but I will do so because I've had the pleasure of building this app as well as enjoying the drawing journey through this app. So whatever art skills or techniques that I had in possession has been matured and pushed through the digital drawing app. So basically, I'm driving this entire app development through art, not through necessarily technical, which which most developers will go through. We need this tool, we need that, not necessarily the art techniques, right? So that's why it's different, and that's why you should think of drawing this way as a means of learning about art. And honestly, the art I produce are so much more rapid than the same artwork produced by digital tools. I can probably do it several times faster than what they, because I've got the art techniques, isn't it? And that's the things I'm going to teach you. So the first thing is we got a black background. So you could be you could go ahead and say, well, let's start off with a dark background like the canvas color. You know how to select the canvas color? I'll show you. Let's click. Oops, what's happening? There, you can see you can select a canvas color here. And then what happens? You got this dark canvas. So anywhere, if I take this trace bar all the way down to my canvas, it's a dark canvas, right? But I'm not going to do that. I have done that before. I'm going to try something different. This is where the mindset you need to have. And I'm going to touch on that very quickly. The mindset that you need to have as an artist is that when you venture into something new, such as this, which I'm thinking is very new to a lot of people because they haven't drawn or they haven't been shown this method of drawing and this way of drawing in digital, you need to be a sponge. Basically means you need to come in with no prejudice, no preconception of what digital art is. If you have gone down the other path of using digital tools, you're only going to come here and start critiquing the tool sets. Oh, it hasn't got this, hasn't got the blurs, it hasn't got the anything else, hasn't got the blending, hasn't got the blurring, hasn't got the auto correction, you know, and then you're going to leave a poor review and then just go on your way. And that means that if that mindset, when you come with that, means you're not going to learn anything. You're going to you're going to probably overlook something so important and so essential to digital drawing that you will just go down the same path of the least resistance and just go through not really amounting to much in the area of digital drawing. And if you do go through digital tools, there's a double-edged sword. Even though it's easier to use, I'm going to give you that double-edged sword. Double-edged sword is because you become so dependent on the tools themselves, you are a slave to the tools, sadly. I'm sad to say you will be a slave to the tools, and you need to be a master of the tools, okay? So that's my first tip. And then I'm going to give you a lot more tips as I carry on and showing you this drawing. So I'm not going to use that black canvas. I'm going to do something different. Let's see if I can undo this canvas. Let's see. Okay, I managed to change the canvas color again. I'm going to do this. I'm going to lay down his first main color, which is his flesh tone, and then draw the black background on at the back on the back. Yeah, this I found that I learned some techniques when I did yesterday's second water drop tutorial, and it was using a combination of line and shade brush, and I'm going to use the shade brush because it's ideal for pencil like drawing. So first of all, the first step in the drawing process, if you have seen, come on, you must have seen thousands of artists at work and you look at the blank canvas and go all the way to, and you're itching to see his or her final finished thing, but you're missing out on what the drawing process is. Essentially, the drawing process is everything in between zero to the finished line, finished product, finished art piece, right? So that is the drawing program. Why cannot it be distilled or broken down in traditional? It's because it is unique to the artist at work. They adopt that method of creating art, and it's very difficult for them to convey those techniques and art style. Some call it art styles, but in fact it's not. It's a art technique or the development of skills and techniques that they have come to possess, and they are managed to pull it off in their painting or drawing. And these are the techniques and skills that now can be shown on the digital medium, because the digital medium is a common platform, and you have a common place to take the to do the same thing that an artist like myself does, right? He's able, it can tell you exactly what brush to pick, what density pick, and what size. You can see it for yourself. But when you do the same thing in traditional, you're going to get lost in a maze of techniques that the artist is using, because first of all, he has a pencil that you probably don't have. He has a paper that he has. He applies this pressure. He mixes colors. He or she will swirl this paint in this particular direction. He will swirl the paint in another direction, etc. It's just hard to put it into words. And now, for the first time, I believe the art techniques can now be put down technically as a sequential steps that anyone can follow and master fundamentals of art. Okay, so that's all I wanted to say for now, but I'm sure you're keen to get on with this drawing. So let's put the first, you'll notice that I always start with a very broad brush. And this is a black and white drawing, so it makes total sense to have it in grayscale. See that on the brush? Open the brush dialog and select the grayscale on the right, yeah? So what do we have when you do that? You have this lovely grayscale bar which allows you to select gray tones instead of color tones. So you can see, you can get the dark tones, the top, and the very light tones. So this is an excellent way for you to learn. In fact, if you're a beginner and you're trying to learn about tones and values, this is the perfect method of learning. We stick to black and white initially because color tones are difficult to appreciate, but you will get there after you have understood some of the saturation of colors and how colors work, and your mind becomes more tuned to using the color picker here, and that will help you to really tune your mind to tones. And I'm going to show you in this drawing how your mind enhances with the notion of tones in a particular reference image. So when we come to draw, and naturally a lot of us draw like copying an object in front of us, or a drawing that, or an image or a photo or anything like that. And that's really a bulk of the drawing and painting that happens, that's done by many people around the world. And some, of course, there's the Impressionism and abstract, but then they are also based off, even the abstract can be based off of little remnants of real pictures, real objects, or real real entities, right? If I can say use that word. And so so that's what it is. It involves trying to replicate the real world into your drawing, and to replicate real world into your drawing are tones and values. If you look at this particular image of the actor here, they're like, you'd think that, oh, I can only see like 3, 4 tones. but you'll be shocked as you get closer and closer that there are hundreds, if not thousands of tones, grey tones up this scale, and then probably thousands of tones. And it's a real challenge for an artist to replicate all those tones into this drawing, but we can pull it off. And good artists who have good appreciation of tones and values can pull this drawing off. And it comes with understanding and tuning your mind to tones and values. So block coloring is the method of tuning your mind into understanding, appreciating tones without any drawing skills, can you believe? And I'm going to show you some parts of that. But first of all, like I said, I'm going to put down the tones that are most common to the face here, and we keep the color picker, we keep the trace bar on the top half of this image, or top half of this portion. Why do we do that? Because then in this area we can pick the tones that are of the reference image, and in below this is our drawing canvas. Yeah, so we haven't done anything yet, so we're gonna first of all get a brush size. I've got a brush size of 16%. Pick the tone that is most common to this, the factor's face, and see if we can see that. There, do you see that? That's his tones. But the problem is, if we look at that, the tones are increasing. Why is that? Because we got a density setting here. Think of this density setting as a brush, as a pencil setting going from 12B all the way to HB. That's all it is, okay? And then because we have these tones building up as we do that, building up the tones to the actual tone we want, yeah? We need to we have the option of using it like a pencil, you know, doing several passes of the pencil strokes in order to achieve the tone. So it's like shading. But we don't want to do that. And if you notice any, we're going to follow the traditional method of drawing. So if you've noticed many artists, they will start with a very blocky, right? So they'll start with a very, this is the tone that I want to start with a very blocky color, right? So I got it at 100% there, and I got it at 16%, right? So I'm going to just avoid the details. Yeah, and then just go put down the blocks of color. Can you see? Just putting down the blocks of color and tracing around it. Very powerful. Do not for a second think that tracing should be avoided because it's a form of, like some people want to word it, a form of cheating. No, no, I made a mistake. I was meant to keep the same, sorry. I got a habit of picking the same, you know. I'm going to pick that color. I got the habit of color picker, you know, picking the color. So I'm just going around with that flesh tone, not doing anything else, and then just not worried about the tones yet, just laying down with a bigger brush the areas that I can see here. When you have look, I had the automatic instinct to go to the color picker, but I don't want to do that. I'm just simply just shading. So I got it down here, okay? I'm just simply coloring this tone value over the entire character here, right? That's all I'm doing, using the same tone color. I'm not worried about the individual tones that make up his you know, the necklace and all that, right? the clothes or the neck piece or even all the dark areas you can see here. Not worried about that yet, okay? And I'm just laying down these heavy tones and keeping his eyes just without that tone just here. But I could go over that as well. So let's see what we have here. There, can you see it? That's easier. I'm pretty sure you can do the same, right? And now what we do, yeah, you guessed it. We're going to pick that black tone and then go around that. You can see here? So you can keep it to a part where you can just about see the edge and try and keep the edges reasonably close to what it should be. Don't have to be perfect yet because we're going to be going in details afterwards. And look, this I'm just going around the edges where we've laid down the lighter grey tone. So it's a new approach I'm using, right? So you need to always learn. Don't think that you're going to copy all the time of another artist exactly to the T. Just, oops, just, just follow that. What the? This has a. If you keep doing this enough times, you'll find that you'll get better in your drawing strokes. Yeah. Okay, and then you can see what we have here. What do we have here? Look, we can increase the brush size. Come on, surely. Yeah, but we have to spend so long doing all these miniature strokes, right? No necessary. Okay. All right. So that's the first thing we have. We've drawn down, laid down the first colors, and you may have come across that multiple times when people show off their when you see a drawing or painting by other artists. Essentially, it's exactly the same techniques. So what do we do now? Well, let's see the picture again. Let's see that. Okay, now we can do a few things here. I'm going to try and adopt a different approach here because by actually experimenting and using your brush, using the brushes you have, don't think for a second these tools that that's the majority of the beginners thinking is that the tools are somehow going to save them from the art piece, right? From going in a different direction. They only think like that because they haven't developed enough, they haven't had sufficient experience to develop the techniques. So they just do the easiest thing that comes to them. Ah, this tool for that. Ah, this tool for this. Ah, this tool for that. Ah, this for this. And then they go on and on and on. And then they forget about trying to learn the techniques and it becomes a distant memory. And it's the reason why we have such a bad rap between traditional drawing and digital drawing, and it doesn't have to be this way, as I will show you here. So let's see how we're going to tackle this, right? We've got this drawing. Now let's take down the brush, right? And we're still on the line brush, right? And let's take it down to half, maybe half that, 7-14%, right? And then pick the color picker and then see if that color, look at that. Can you see it? It's way too big, isn't it? So we would probably want to say, well, we want to complete this drawing really quickly. So we need to take this down even more to accommodate this larger, these features here, okay? So that's all I'm doing here. Watch what I'm doing. Color picker, color picker. And why am I keep selecting the color picker? You're thinking that's a black eyebrow. Why the hell are you keep selecting the color picker? Believe me, Your eyes can be very deceiving. You think, can you see how the tones changed here? You think you picked the particular tone, but you have not. That's why I have a habit of just, remember I was trying to pick the color picker as I was doing. What I'm doing is selecting the tones that doesn't seem a little obvious and a little different there. Can you see it? Uh, color picker, color picker. And I'm still at 100% density. So I'm using a different approach. See that? There. And then another tone there. Right? And then let's do this. Let's do the same. Let's see what it looks like. See, we've got some eye work going on there, right? So now the same thing. So the here is something that I need to tell you is that you may think that I'm pretty accomplished and everything. Believe me, I never ever think like that, and I never ever will. And because it's a learning experience, it's one of the reasons why I can excel in a lot of things compared to other people, is because I always keep an open mind. And and now also the reason why I come up with new techniques is because I know there are a number of ways to do things. Okay, there. Look at the color tones there. I've got a good sized brush. Look, and then I'm just picking the color tone. This exercise that I'm just showing you shows you that color tones, you get tuned into the color tones of the eyes. When you go to your traditional and you look at how someone creates an amazing piece of eye, right? You can show them this and say, look, you spent like yonks creating this eye. Look, I'm doing it relatively quickly because I understand about tones. Yeah. And then maybe they're gonna rethink how they present their tutorials as well. Right there. Look. It's so easy. Few brush strokes. And remember I showed you that water droplet? Few brush strokes is all it needed for the eyes to do the rest of the work. See these tones there? They're different. So this is a habit that you're developing to get used. See that there? The eyes there, they almost look like that you've done a pretty good piece of drawing, right? And then now we can go to the darker. So I'm focusing on the darker areas. Let me save that. Get into a habit of saving your work, please. Yeah, just in case something happens and you forget, you come back to it and you exit the app. Right? You don't want to lose your work here. Look at that. That's even too thick, but still, let's put it down. Why not? And then these brushes, these light tash. There. Very, very easy. Very broad. And look, that lips, has a dark tone where the two lips meet, and then it gets grayish. Right? So I'm gonna try and pick that and pick the lighter tone on the top of the lips. And then I'm going to pick this tone here, and then pick that larger tones, and then we can see that we have. And then I tend to follow the direction wherever I'm doing something like this tash. Have you noticed how I'm following the direction of the tash? Yeah. So let's see what we have here, right? Yeah, this is beginning stages, and if you think, oh, that's all I can do, and throw your arms up in the air, you have lost your ability in understanding the drawing process, because if you look at my other drawings, I'm not going to rest here, am I? Yeah, I will take it to a far greater length that comes close to this one, yeah? And you're thinking, how? Well, that's why you're here, isn't it? To learn how. So now let's look what we have here, right? We got some of those tones here, and now let's mark out the other tones because we're learning about tones, right? So because we've got a smaller brush, we can enhance this drawing. And I've done nothing with the density yet, yeah? That will come a bit later, and then I may have a different approach, which I'm going to show you. But in the meantime, just laying down the tones. These tones vary. Look, look at the tones that we picked up. You may think it was just one or two tones, right? But in reality, it was a lot of tones. And look what I do. Watch carefully here, the corner of his eyes. Get the color picker, and then I pick another tone. We notice how different that tone is. And then here, and I pick another tone. These three tones, you see how they're different in color, right? And you think, oh, they're all the same. That's what tonal. See how that changed? This light one. That's what tonal. That's what tones does. Okay. Here. That, that. So you keep doing that. This is very easy to do, and what that does is improve your see color picker, then the tones. Color picker. Believe me, this is what made me draw photorealistically in freehand more rapidly than others, and pretty much nobody draws photorealistically like I do in the digital medium. It's because I'm developed these techniques, right? The core skills, not forgetting the core skills of art and not just diving into tools like everyone else does. So, having had some traditional background experience has obviously helped me. So, this is what I'm doing just going over the face, adding some details. Can you see? No drawing experience required as such. And I'm going to go through this really rapidly, even I'm showing you slowly so you can understand. All right, this is a brush size of 3.6%. Okay, all right, just using the color picker, following the tones of the tash there. So you can see how tones can vary in a particular subject, yeah? There. And then here, looks darker tones. So you just tracing and following. This is helping you two things. Really tuning your brain to tones, which is essential to good drawing. And also it's quite fun, isn't it? Because you're not really thinking much. You're like training your brain, the muscle requirements for making good drawings. That's all you're doing. Training your brain. Look, see, this is the same tone, so but it's slightly different. You see how it's slightly different? Okay. Just do that as an exercise, yeah, and you'll find that you'll be pleased with the result, and it keeps you going. It keeps you moving forward, and not just throw your arms up in the air and say, "Oh, I can't go any further. That's all I can do." You know, if you think like that, you're thinking like a defeatist, right? And you know that you've always wanted to draw, but you're finding an excuse, like many people do on Quora, the Quora platform where I answer so many questions. I think I have about 1,000, over 1,000 responses. And I got tired of answering the same question. Does it require talent? You know, it's so common, and I got really tired of it. And then I realized that the people who ask these questions are the ones trying to find reassurance that Their lack of skills is down to inherent talent in the ability of the artist. And you will know that there is not one artist who will tell you it's talent based, but still they continue to find someone who's going to say, no, it requires talent. So what you're doing is the right thing. The fact that you never picked up or not, that's all they're looking for. Some reassurance that what they're doing is right. And they love they love to do art, and just like everyone else. Why? Because it's such a wonderful, rewarding experience doing art, isn't it? And they want to have that same enjoyment and satisfaction of doing art, but they just can't get around to it because they're not willing to open their minds and just learn, you know. It's sad, but some people are like that. They want to feel that they're justified in what they're doing, and I think eventually they're going to regret as they get older that they haven't. See how dark that is there? Just going through that. Look how quickly I'm going through that. In digital, you got to constantly go for tools. I'm just drawing now, isn't it? And this is what drawing is all about, to draw. So I'm using my phone here, and you can use your fingers, no problem. Right there. And I'm going to show you because this is I'm trying to keep this easy so you can understand what I'm doing. Look, very easy. Is this difficult for anyone? Anyone who's beginner can easily do this. Color picker, color picker. I'm surprised not many people do this or understand or reason for doing something like that. They just want to dive in and feel that they need to do some drawings, right away. That's not the case. You have to learn techniques. All right, you see how it changes depending on where your color picker is, right? So what do we have here, right? Look at that. We've managed to make a drawing. We could say that that's not a bad attempt, even though we traced it. But the in reality, tracing is so important to good drawing because it improves the stroke. So if you if you can get to step number two, oh, okay, so this is where I should mention the drawing process. So we've come to this step in the drawing, and then you should know that if you didn't come to this step in the drawing, you would not know how to get to the next step. So that is, in essence, the drawing process. So we keep building it up bit by bit. And to bypass all that, guess what? In the digital apps world, they've introduced layers. And they think that layers are going to build up the 3D feel to it. And in reality, layers have been distorted in the natural development of art because the layers were introduced in the Photoshop 30 years ago, 20, 30 years ago, to cater to not to the traditional artists who like drawing in this manner, but to cater to the growing internet, World Wide Web, illustrations, graphics. There's such a huge demand for that. And that's the reason for the digital apps. At that time, I was using Corel Draw as well. So I'm pretty good at Photoshop. But if you ask me do you want to draw with Photoshop? I said, what? No, I want to create graphics, illustration, vectors, whatever for web, for online. But if I want to draw, this is how I would draw. So that's always been my case. So just keep going very quickly, right? Look, I'm even going more rapidly because I can see, and I can pick a bigger brush. So you have the option to pick a bigger brush to go really more quickly, right? These areas that you want to cover, right? So why spend a large? Any artist will do the same thing, right? Pick the bigger brush. The more quicker you practice, the more you learn. There. Simple, very easy. Not picking a big brush to do the larger areas. Just makes total sense, right? Keep picking the color pickers so you get the right tones, right? Color picker to get the right tones. It's got a psychedelic shirt, isn't it? Obviously nothing too normal and off the shelf, right? It's got to be unique, isn't it? Unique in the sense that it needs to portray his dynamic character, right? All right, there, look at that. So rapid, very quickly. Let's see what we have here. Right, there, look. And then you can see here that we're going to do around his neck here. So we'll do that very rapidly with the same brush, picking out these tones of the neck muscles here. See, they're doing it very quickly because I'm going to introduce you to blending, obviously, at some stage here. But first of all, it's laying down the colors. And typically, to be honest with you, I don't normally use such a small brush to lay down the initial colors. But I thought for this exercise, it'll be really good to show you so you get comfortable drawing this way. And I'd really like to see your artwork, even if it doesn't look, in your opinion, doesn't look so appetizing. Right, so just getting these lines here, and then getting these lines, then getting these lines. There, let's have a look what we got. So we got the first, we got that, yeah, we got the first, and then obviously we're going to put more focus on the face, isn't it? So what can we do next in order to, let's save this, in order to enhance this and go to the next step. So what would be the next step? It's not a magical process, trust me. It's a question of how we get to the next step. And you can ask yourself, well, I'm here now, step number 5 in the drawing process. How do I get to the next step? This is where in traditional medium and art, they're constantly making these decisions at this rate. They feel that there's some areas they need to address, and they've got the techniques down. They've got they know what the tools can do. So this simple tool here that I haven't changed it at all, what it can do, and I'm now going to use that to my ability to improve the next step of the drawing. And what would be the next step? Well, next step I would say is improving the drawing. I look at the tash on the top of his lip, it's not quite there. His ears are not there. His eyes are not quite three-dimensional, and the whole face needs to be done. So how do I go about it? Well, we can now, I think it's a good time to introduce you to the shade brush, yeah? So let's look at the shade. So shade is really just like a pencil. Think of it like a pencil. As you keep going over and over again, you increase the tone, right? So even at 100%, you're increasing the tone. So let's keep it 100%, which means that you don't have to work your brush strokes or drawing strokes more times to get the tones. So you will achieve the tones more quicker with the fewer brush strokes. That's all it means. So keep that in mind, okay? Let's give you 8%, 86%. Let's go and look at his forehead, right? Let's look at his forehead. Let's see if we can take some of that tones and just shade it. Because the reason I want to do that is because I found the shade brush to be really effective. Look, do you see how I did for shade? Uh, and then this is where we can switch between there. Can you see if I click on this arrow here? Let me show you what I mean. This on my left here, the arrow, if you keep clicking on it, you'll flick through between your drawing and the drawing here. So let's pick this and let's take some of that colors back, okay? And then let's go here. Let me get some more colors here, right? Darker colors. So let's just keep going here. And if you're not getting the tones you're looking for, just add it there, right? So this is a completely different approach to what I'm used to. Look, these dark tones here. So can you see that? I can pick the color tone of my drawing and just see that there. So pick that and then just shade that area. It's a very new technique that I don't typically draw. Right, and then here, you've seen that? It's quite dark there, right? Very dark here. So we can just shade it, right? Just shade. It's actually white. It's like it's there, right? So we can pick that tones and take that back, okay? And then, but we know that this dark area here is where the left side of his head is. Just using the shade. And let's see what his head looks like. It's beginning to look like something like his forehead, but it's so smooth compared to the line brush, right? But not to worry, right? Because we've got quite a large 8.6 brush, yeah? So now let's go ahead and pick the black tones, take the brush size that we can manage to do his brow right there. So still sticking to the shade brush. And I don't know how this is going to come out as, and I can't tell you until I've done enough. Look, I've taken it down to 2% now. I can't tell you until I have done enough. There, can you see how I'm actually doing this? I'm going to do his right eye in this method. Actually quite... Do you see how I picked the brush? Now, perhaps what I need to do is I don't need to do the color picker, but select the color tone. Yeah, this is what we're going to do. Okay, now let's rewind and just forget what I told you a few seconds ago. You've seen, now we're going to really tune our brain into the pick our own tones that we're seeing with the brush. So let's look at this, right? We've got a small brush, really small brush, and I've been using a lot of the way. And then look, see that area here? Here? It's a light, very light stroke. Let's try and find the grey tone that does that. Didn't quite work. Right, okay. Did that work? Yes, that worked. Now let's find the lighter tone in this region here. Did that work? No. Let's just go here. It's a new technique, and then there's a darker band just here. So this brush is not the darker, just running through the middle, right there. That's it. Okay. And now let's go here and say, we're not going to use the color picker. So we're going to say, it's a light dark tone that's going right across there, okay? That's all it is. Right? Do you see it? Just replicating that. And then, wow, his ears have gone weird. Okay, so now we see that he's got some light grey tones around here. Right? We're just going to use our color palette that we have. Just go here. Look, we got dark. We've got this weird dark line there. Right, let's just do that. Okay, there. And then let's have a look. Okay, we've got that dark line here. And then we have some dark grey tones going on here. So that's all we're going to do. Right, just add the dark grey tones here. And then you get some very light tones around the ears there. And then we don't want to do too much. So here, right, got some light tones there. Okay. And then we got some very dark tones here. So I'm a habit of picking the color picker. You should not use the color picker at this stage. Okay, take that, just bring it up. It's the dark tones, okay? That's all you're doing. Right, that's it. So let's see what we have done. We've done the right ear. Can you see it? All right, excellent. And now let's do the same since we're doing the same thing. So we got the tone about here for that ears, those ears there. Can you see I'm replicating the ears? It's probably a bit lighter at the top there. Yeah, good. And then we have a dark tone here. So here on across there, right? So we're doing. See that? This is where we're getting improving our. Then we have a sort of a mid-tone here. Not a mid-tone quite, but dark tone that's going around here. That's all we're doing. And then what we have, we've got a lighter tone here. It's going down here. Right. And then we have this tone about here. So here. Okay. And then of course we have something going on there, but we won't put too much emphasis on that. So dark. All right, and then his ears. Well, we got the dark tone here, and then we're just gonna Look what I'm doing, strokes, strokes. Then there's some dark tones here, and then tones go here. So we're basically using our method of drawing. This is different to what I'm used to. And then we have a lighter tone, which is about here. Then we can increase that. Then we can increase that there. Can you see it? There. It's quite light here, isn't it? Here. Yeah. Because it goes in towards the face, right? Yeah, excellent. And then we got this dark. Notice I changed the brush size. This is what you need to do. There you can see there is none of that. There is none of that dark tone that's running across the ears, right? But there is a little bit of darkness, and then there's definitely a bit more grayness up here. There's not like dark. It's actually, it's not as dark as we had it before with that bold brush. So we're basically creating his left ear, unless his left ear, well, he has big ears, isn't it? Yeah, he does have big ears. Okay, so now we can see what we need to do here is we got select a bigger brush, F7, and then we're gonna get this tone, right, and then try and match this tone. Yeah, let's look at that. It's got a lot of these black tones. Okay, there. And then it's got a very sort of light tone that comes out of that area here on his neck, and it's not quite, so we're gonna go here, just take some of that light tones right there. You can see that it's got really a light area here, right? So we're gonna do that. Why not? Okay, and then we got darker bit tones here, there, and then we can come and fix that area, and then we got very light tone like about around here, very light tone here. We're just trying to get the ability to define the tones. So this is probably a training on tones. And that there, and then here he's got some light tones coming across here, and then he has a very light tone probably around here, right? So I do that. Okay, let's have a look. So that's okay, that's not bad. So now let's look at his, let's focus on his left eye now. Okay. So we're going to take that brush size down, like 1.2. And now we can say switch between our and see what you see, right? Okay. So here you can see that there is a black here. Oh, look here. The could be a little bit more denser actually. The black, I'm gonna have to change that in our, and then look here, we can change, there's that dark here, and then if we need to, we can shape this and see and get more control over dimensions here. This is one of our training. It's got this white here, look at that, it takes a long time to get that white. I think I may need to fix something here. Just there, can you see it? And there, there. Okay, on the right here, and then here, and then it's a darker area, just this one here, right there. Okay, and then let's go here, that turn here. So could cut that down here, and let's fix these eyes here. So what do we have here? We got this sort of a patch going on, and then we can, if you're not getting the colors, just this is the grayscale that you want to use, okay? So it's not quite like sharp here, it's a little grayish. So, and then here, it's a bit dark here, so I can flesh that out. And then let's see what we have here. Then we have a really thin brush now, and we can pick this area here, just draw that, okay, and then just clean that edge here. Sorry, the opacity is not seeming to work as well as I'd like, but that's all right, we can change that, and then I'm going to include that in our next update, but you can get along, you can see what I can do with this. I can see here, dark here, and then this area here, putting the details, the textures, and then on the left side, you can see here how it's grayed out, so just take out that hard transition here, right, and then what do we have here? Just merging into the area, right? It's not the harsh tone. Okay, and let's have a look at his left eye. It's pretty impressive, isn't it? How his left eye compared to before. So we're going to now do the same thing we did with the right eye, left eye. So save it. All right, so let's look at it. Okay, we got some dark going on. Remember we started out doing this, and then we're going to have to fix this. So we've got the white here. Look how white the bar has gone. Yeah, yeah, and then just fix that here, the eyes. Okay, then it's got a little bit of gray there, obviously, and then it's got that dark tone here. Right there. And then it's got that light tone here, the pupil, right? Okay. And then it's got that dark tone around here. right? And then it's got this lovely white dot there. That's all there is. And then it's got this wonderful black tones that are coming out there. But remember, it's got some quite light tones going on around here, okay, as well. Right there. And then it's not quite like uniform like that. So let's dissolve this area here a little bit, okay? And then it's got this tone going on here. And then he's got this here, the black tone. And then he's got the white tone, which you can pick with the color picker, remember? Right? And then you can check to see if you're that far off, which I'm not. So gonna say here, it ends there. Right there, look at that. The tones here are not that dark, so I'm gonna take that out. Then here, take some of that tones here. Yeah, so what's happening is that since I put down a previous color, it's actually holding back the density. I'm gonna have to make raise a ticket for this on to my developers. It's like I'm not used to such a slow rate of brush strokes here that I'm doing, as you can see. And then here, let's go here and just go down here. Then what do we have here? We've got that color here, so we can increase the brush size. So it's actually making a difference to the, hard to say, but it's actually making it there. See, we're just replicating these. See that, the nose and that. So now you can see what it looks like. Now you've got to admit that's pretty impressive, isn't it? The right eye and the left eye, yeah? So what we're going to do now is fix this nose and lips here. Same thing, just follow me carefully here. So here. So the reason why that the shade brush is working less effectively is because I've already laid down the colors. But that's something I will need to fix. So we're going to go here. Let's do the nose there and you'll see what it looks like. Let's save this so I can show you that. So let's see what we have here. We got this there. Yeah, it's actually making it a lot harder to select the tones here. So this is a manifest of the app, but it will be something that will clear up in no time. So it's got his nose here. And then remember, look at that, it's got some shade here, and then it's got darker area here that's going on. That's like 2.1s. Right, and that's all we're doing. Look what we're doing. See how that works? And then we know it's got darker here in this region under the nose. Darker here. All these tash, right? The tash, yeah. There. It's not coming out as strong as I want. Yeah, this 100% is not working as well that I would have liked to. So I'm going to have to make a change in this upcoming version. But you can work with this, fine. Yeah, it should be a lot quicker. Let's just do this. Let's just do his lips and then try and replicate. That's all it is. It's tonal replication, right? And then it's the white color there that we want to get. Look how close to the white color we are. This is either I've gone very good and been mastering that. So here, and then colors there. Why is this still too big? I can't understand. Because I'm using such a tiny brush. And I still find it too big. So this is something that happens as you do it. Now you can see how I go about improving the app. Not based on tools, but based on how an artist is drawing like this. Yeah. So you'll see this has been updated for many, it's got to the step where it is, which you can enjoy, you know. But believe me, there's always room for improvement. Yeah. Bring that down, this tash. Yes, densities could be a lot better. So you can see here that I'm trying to get just too much here. Okay. So I'm just trying to get as close to his lips as possible. That's all. And then here, what you can see here, look at that. So lovely and dark, right? Yeah, so that's an easy thing to do. Okay, and then here, and we look what we have here, the colors. It's quite light colors, isn't it? It's very light colors here. Right there, see? There, so we can capture those lips right there. then it goes a little darker here. So you got a very small brush. Okay. Then we got this darker here, just the brush, just below his lips, and then you'll be able to see how quickly we managed to produce that with little effort. And then what we were doing here, so you see how quickly I'm creating the effects. The lips, right? Just moving the trace bar. And then let's see what we have here. Can you see where we've come? His face came from a very blocky face all the way down to his lips are getting closer to the real thing, right? And now we can go here and say, well, what have we got here? So we're going to do some shading here. So let's increase that and let's color pick this color, the darker color, and then just merge it like that. Okay. Okay, and then so you can, so this is dark area, and then it get the color picker here, just and then just merge it. Select a different tone, go up the grayscale, right, and then merge this area as well. Can see it? So I'm gonna increase that a little bit, the brush size. I'm just trying to merge. Here, can you see his tones? Then we know that this is the tone that actually works here. So let's get rid of that with that tone that we already have. Right. Right. And then we got this tone that we can take back here. Okay, here. And then if need be, we'll carry this light darker, slightly dark tone into his, and then here can you see we can carry this tone, spread that out a little bit here. Can you see how quickly it changes? See that? There. And then we can bring that dark tone into where the lower part of his mouth is. Right? And then here we got something here, so we don't know what. So let's take that down and then take it back as this dark, right? And just make it part of his face.